I've already had 2 terms of parliament where the government each time has had a majority in the lower house, and I would argue I've been very effective in moving the dial on important issues. We pushed the Morrison government to commit to net zero by 2050, and we pushed the Labor government, which became the Albanese government, to legislate it to ensure that it was secured. The crossbench pushed for the National Anti-Corruption Commission and a number of other measures. So I think there's too much focus sometimes on power simply by numbers, as opposed to being in Parliament to represent my community and actually bring forward the issues the political party do not have the courage to bring forward. So we know, for example, gambling advertising is huge, but the political parties on their own won't tackle it, regardless of having a majority or not. It takes communities and people, and I would say the crossbench, to bring those issues to the fore.
All right, and we're still yet to see how Bradfield and Kooyong, to name a couple, are going to pan out. Very, very close. We saw Zoe Daniel and Tim Wilson. Of course, Tim Wilson just beating Zoe this week as well. What are your plans for the future? Are you going to stay with the policy that you've got? Have you got anything different that you have in mind at all?
Look, I think what's interesting is this election, a lot of focus, I think rightly so, Labor has won a big majority and, that they should be commended for that. They've clearly done that. But when you look at the primary votes across the country, it's very still split 3 ways between Labor, Coalition. There hasn't been a huge growth in primary vote for Labor. I think there was a sound rejection, absolutely, of Peter Dutton, culture wars, divisiveness and nuclear. But there is still a third of Australians give their vote to minor parties or independents. We've actually seen a growth in the vote for community independence to about 13%. And whilst that doesn't always succeed in winning a seat, it is still a very powerful and, I would argue, influential voting bloc that is here to stay in the political landscape. And I'm very focused on paying it forward and keeping on building on that so that communities have choice.
All right, we've seen certainly a lot of community independents, around 35 of them, a lot of them targeting the Liberal seats. What do you see moving forward? Do you think they are going to target perhaps more of the Labor seats, even the Nationals that have done really well this election?
I think it's a very party focus to think of it in way of targeting. So the way community independence evolve is it's from dissatisfaction within a community. And so it really comes back to how they feel they are being represented. We've seen really strong community independent challenges to Labor in Fremantle, in Flinders, not Flinders, but down in Fremantle, down in Franklin, and actually in Bean, where there's still the count going. So you can see that where a community is looking for an alternative choice, and often where the major party, and in those cases Labor, have a big majority and maybe have gotten a little complacent about their seat and the issue the community cares about. So I think everyone focuses on community independence, have traditionally taken on Liberal Party held seats, but again it comes back to the policies and the issues people want to hear about. And with all the talk around the coalition, leadership challenges and what's happening this week, no one is really talking about the issues. What are the policies Australians want to see progress on, instead of looking at the personality politics of who are they going to pick as a leader.
Yeah, good points. Cost of living was top of the list for most people, no doubt. So what do you want to see in Parliament straight away with the cost of living issue?
Well, look, I hope the Prime Minister will recall Parliament soon. I think we have not had many sitting weeks this year, and, we're here the election is to govern, so it's important to get to Parliament and govern and get on with legislation, especially the ones around the tax cuts, HECS debt relief and cost of living assistance, obviously the energy bill relief. These are all matters that I think will really impact households. We want to see small business support. That should be made permanent. I will be very much pushing the government to do better on small business support. They are very much hurting. So, look, I think we all need to get on with the job now. I hope Parliament will be recalled quickly so we can get on with things.
And I know you did mention that there's a lot of focus on leadership, but do you have any comments on the big week ahead? Of course, the Nationals, Matt Canavan, David Littleproud, Angus Taylor, Susan Lee, and a leader for the Greens.
Look, obviously, a lot of turmoil, a lot of change out of this election, leadership upheaval across a lot of different parties, I would say, yeah. Look, the coalition one is an interesting one. When I hear people still talking about going further off the cliff to the right, I think that is really a party that is just deaf to the community and to people, what the message they are sending. It goes beyond the leadership team, though. Angus Taylor, Susan Lee, they are all senior ministers from the Morrison government and the Dutton opposition team. So I don't think they are coming at this with clean hands in terms of the defeat they've just suffered. They were integral parts of the leadership team that put that proposition to the Australian people. So I would urge looking to a more moderate and more, sensible approach. Start having come and have a chat to us in terms of maybe, the Teals or the community independents around what are the policies I'd say Middle Australia, sensible Australia is looking for. And at the moment, the coalition seem determined to go off the right-wing cliff.
All right, Zali Steggall, congratulations once again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.